Hey Flute section, it's me, Caitlin. Today I'm going to be giving you an instructional video on my tips for playing the Dvorak fourth movement recording assignment. There's two main parts to this recording assignment. The first part is from bar 50 to rehearsal number 3. And this part has a lot of different components, so we'll talk about that. And then the second part we need to work on is from rehearsal number 10 to rehearsal number 11. So it's pretty straightforward. I'm just going to go through and give you guys some advice on how to practice this part, how to get better at it, and how to submit your recording assignments. So a recording assignment, if you've never done one before, may seem a little bit daunting, like I'm going to turn in my part and however I play it is how you play it, but you guys have a full week to work on this. So what I recommend doing is just when you get home from school, pull out your flute, play a couple scales, and just record the part once or twice. And it might only take you, 10 or 15 minutes, but if you do it every day, then you have a lot more recordings to choose from when you have to submit it on Monday. Also, don't stress about it because you guys can all play this part. I know you guys can all do it, and this is just to show Mr. Cruz where the orchestra is at. So don't freak out about it too much, but do put some effort into it. So at 50, we begin with playing slurred triplets. And the important thing here is to make sure they're really even and rhythmic and that they have some direction. Because on top of us, the strings are playing eighth notes. And if you've heard Mr. Hansen talking about the strings when they play their triplets, it's really important that you're going somewhere with it and you make it look really easy. Make it sound really easy. So a great way to start with this is to just pull out your metronome. The tempo for this section is 132, but it's okay to practice it less than 132 and also eventually submit an assignment with a metronome tempo less than 132 if that's the tempo you can play it at. So you can start really slow, and I just recommend making sure that your triplets are really even. So really simple, just like that, just making sure that you're really lining up your downbeats, and a great way to practice that again is with metronome. Additionally, there's some switches that are a little bit harder, like in the second bar of the pattern, the D sharp to F sharp to a B, and that's not the easiest switch between that D sharp and that F sharp. So how I like to practice that is by sometimes mixing up the rhythm so that I can ensure that I'm switching between the notes correctly. So one way to do this is I'll give you some different example rhythms you can practice with them to make sure that your fingers are the ones doing all the work and not your brain having to read the part. So just something simple like that. It'll help you get the rhythm in your fingers. And then over time you can start building it up to speed as you see fit. Following these triplets is eighth notes on the beat. And if I remember correctly, the horns here play in the offbeat. So it's really important that our eighth notes are only the value of an eighth note, and we're not playing them too long or too short, because otherwise it'll make it really hard for the horn entrance. So these are really important to kind of be staccato, and I'll just kind of give you a demonstration of how I would see them to be played. Something like this. So just really precise, really clean, maybe a little bit longer than that, but especially in the town hall where we're playing this, the sound will echo. So it's not a big deal if they're too short rather than being too long and that sound holds over. Also, another thing to remember when you're playing these supplementary parts like the eighth notes is that you're not the theme and you're not the melody. So you still need to play full and, forte or mezzo forte, but that you need to make sure that you can still hear the important parts around you. And then following that, we have two quarter notes, just a little bit longer, but they're still kind of sforzando. And then we have more triplets, but these ones are tongued, all forte and then sforzando. And these are on beats 1 and 3, which is really easy to find because I believe that this part is conducted in 2. So it should probably sound something like this. Just make sure you're tonguing all the notes so you get a really strong attack. so it's not too bad. And then we drop it down to mezzo forte and start diminuendoing with the B flat A B flat, which is on beats 2 and 4. And a really important thing in this part is being able to become quiet. We have a lot of flutes on this part, and so it's really important that we get to piano, because this piece is probably only played with 4 or 5 flutes, or that's how it was kind of meant to be played, or at least our balance of orchestra is very flute heavy, so we need to make sure that we can get to that piano and pianissimo, and that's followed by eighth notes. Eighth notes will be slower than the triplets, so I'll demonstrate that. Etc. I did not hold that for its full length. Also, when you're playing the D flat, a really great alternate fingering is, instead of just pinky, to put down these 3 fingers as well. It really makes the tone quality a lot better. Then part 2 at 10. It's a really important thing to look at here is the phrasing. 4-bar phrases are probably the best thing if you can make it that far. But also really pay attention to the dynamics. We go from piano to sforzando in the course of 2 bars. You really want to make sure that you get that phrasing down. Also, the difference between piano and pianissimo. You need to save a little bit to get even lower. So I'm just going to play a little bit of that. Watch out for your key signature here. There are D sharps, G sharps, C sharps, and F sharps. So just really be aware of that. Really simple 4-bar phrase. Then we repeat, I believe it's the same figure again, and then we start out pianissimo on a high E. This figure is different though. It's not a dotted quarter eighth. It's a dotted quarter eighth quarter quarter. So I'm going to play you the difference between these two. This would be the incorrect rhythm. Sorry. That's the dotted quarter eighth, dotted quarter eighth. But this is how it's supposed to sound. So those last 2 notes are even. You can probably record and rewind that part and hear that over and over again, because there is a distinction there and it's important to make that. Then we have probably one of the most challenging rhythms in the piece thus far, the G sharp eighth notes on the off beats. So a really great way is, if you're stuck on a rhythm, is to try to count it out. So how I like to picture 16th notes, how they make up a quarter, is 1, E, and O. Oh, I didn't realize, but my video here stopped recording because I ran out of storage. So I don't think that's ever happened before. This is basically what I ended up doing, crossing out every other value. And then the last is a 16th note, and the first 1 is a 16th note. So how I begin to count this out is 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. So just really getting that rhythm in, so I'll do it one more time. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. So from there, you're going to cross out every other value. So 1 E, 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 1. 1 E. Just, if you need, do what I did here, write out the rhythms, and it'll really help you count it out if you're stuck. The part following this before 11 is just a little arpeggio-ish figure. It's pianissimo, keep it quiet. It needs to be in time though, we have parts going on around us. So I'll just give a little demonstration of how I'd like this to sound. Really basic and straightforward. Aside from that, just going through those parts, practicing them slow, working them up fast, and if you think you've already got all the notes and rhythms, next step is definitely dynamics, because that's a really important part to this piece, the big idea. My tips for recording. I already talked about recording several times. You have recordings to choose from. Billy talked about recording through Audacity, which is fine. What I actually like to do, because I have an iPhone, is go into the voice memos or voice recordings, I'm not quite sure what the app's called, and just press record, and then you can email it to yourself and submit it to Haiku through Dropbox. and that's my favorite way of doing it, but it's really up to you. And if you're having technical difficulties with that, let me know. Also, I believe that you need to hear a metronome in the recording so that he knows that you're playing in time. If you don't have a metronome, that's totally fine. Just have your whatever you're using to record out, and also have your computer out, and you can pull up like an online metronome. That's what I usually use because it's the most straightforward for me. So that'll work great. You guys are all doing a great job, and congratulations on winning the costume contest. I'm super proud of us for that. So we're all doing great on this piece. It's sounding really amazing. But just remember that there's always something that you can work on, so don't give up on that. Okay, it's great. Good luck on your recording assignment, and I'll see you guys on Monday.